Have you had a conversation about your death wishes? I have a question. Raise your hand if you've had a conversation about sex. Now, keep your hand raised if you've had a conversation about your end-of-life wishes. It's a bit interesting, isn't it? We're far more comfortable talking about anything else other than death. When I was a 7-year-old child in primary school, I remember sitting cross-legged in the life education van with my classmates, listening to a giraffe puppet named Healthy Harold. Inside, this friendly giraffe taught us about our bodies, about not doing drugs, and about safe sex. We learned about periods. We learned about consent. We learned how to put condoms on bananas. But there was one thing that I was never taught. No one. Not Healthy Harold in all of his giraffe wisdom. Not in school. Not even my parents. Ever sat me down and said, "One day, Cara, we will die. And so will the people that you love. It will be sad, of course, but the more we talk about it with loved ones, the less fear that we may have. Because we know what you want when you die." We teach our young children about online safety. We teach our young children about consent. We teach our young children about how life is created. We celebrate new beginnings. We're pregnant, or we're trying for a baby. Now, imagine if that same enthusiasm was used on the other end of the spectrum. That if I proclaimed, "I want to talk about planning for my death," well, cue the uncomfortable silence, because death, unlike birth, still feels like it belongs behind those closed doors. And here's the thing. Talking about sex will not make you fall pregnant. Talking about death will not make you die any faster. For more than 12 years, I have sat with those in their final moments. I have heard last words. I've heard deathbed confessions. I remember once sitting with a 100-year-old woman named Susan. Susan told me, "I'm not dying." Spoiler alert. Susan did. We all will. Every single one of us in this room will die. We don't know when. We don't know how, which means I am rather mindful of myself and my browser history. Here's what I've learned over those years. The ones who plan, the ones who talk, the ones who have those uncomfortable but necessary conversations, they have gentler deaths. Not because dying is easy. It can be raw, it can be sad, and it can be full of grief. But because they aren't left scrambling for answers at those final hours. These wishes are written down, and families can simply be what they need to be. Family. Not the carers, not the organisers, simply family. When we avoid these conversations, we leave behind regret, guilt, and sadly, unfinished business. Over 90% of Australians say that it's important to talk about their end-of-life care preferences, but 56% have not written these down or documented these with family, which means half of Australians have not really documented their final care preferences with their loved ones. That's half of us in this room. We act as if though talking about death will summon it. As if the Grim Reaper will appear and go, "You called?" See, death is already in our future, whether we acknowledge it or whether we don't. Silence won't save us. Talking about it won't save us either. But it will help our loved ones. And that, well, that's the ultimate act of love. Memento mori, which is Latin for remember that you must die. But because you must die, you must also live. When people talk to me about planning for their death, they also talk to me about planning for their life, their childhood, their dog that they had when they were 10, the song that they want played at their funeral because it makes them smile, the day that they fell in love, the day that they got married. See, these things make me smile too, because death is not always about fear. Death can be connection, and it can be love in action. So, where do we start these conversations? Well, we start by using the D word. And no, not the D word that is commonly associated with dating apps. The other D word. Not passed away, not peacefully sleeping, just death. Ask yourself, if you were in a hospital bed right now and could not speak for yourself, who would you want to speak for you? If you had 1 week left on this earth, where would you want to be? Who would you want by your side? What do you want done with your body when you die? Burial? Cremation? Shrouding? Fireworks? Personally, I want the fireworks. Cremate me, put my ashes into the largest firework that you can find, and send me sky high while you throw a massive party. My shout. How do we start? Well, start tonight. Start discussing when you get home. Start discussing over brunch with friends. Even on Tinder, no time like the present. Surely, if Healthy Harold, in all of his puppet wisdom, can teach us a thing or two about safe sex in primary school, we can learn a thing or two about our end-of-life care preferences with one another. Being prepared is not morbid. It is the ultimate act of love. And death deserves a seat at that table, right alongside bad date stories, weddings, and planning to have children. Because when we find the courage to talk about death, we discover what that really means to live.